It took a year, and you got him in the U.S. and moved him and made him a Jersey boy.
Yeah.
And how did he adapt to that?
He adapted pretty well. He gained a little weight here, of course.
But we are chubby Americans. Hey, welcome to Expat Diaries podcast, where we're always talking to people who've made that huge leap from their home country to another. So whether you were originally from the United States or Canada or Europe, and then you decided that Costa Rica was going to be your new home, we want to know all about those journeys. So what catalyst made you take that leap? What decisions, what things did you have to argue with yourself about before you made that move? And what was that journey like? There are so many people out there who are looking for more information on how to become an expat or how to move to Costa Rica or even any other country. And I think that every time that we're able to tell the story of another person's journey, it just makes it a little bit easier for everybody. So with all of that said, I want to say hello and welcome to Kat. Kat and I chatted a little bit already this weekend, and we just had a great time visiting about her journey. Actually, her family comes from Costa Rica, and then what that looked like coming back full time around. So welcome, Kat.
Hi, Robin. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. My husband always says, I tell everybody this, my husband always says, oh my gosh, you fall in love with everybody you interview. And I'm like, I know, their stories are so great. I just get so caught up in them. So originally your family is from Costa Rica, right?
Yes, my mom's side of the family.
So, but you were raised up in the East Coast?
Yes, in New Jersey. I did live in Costa Rica. I don't remember because I was very young, but I lived there until I think I was 3 or 4. So it was funny because my parents would tell me I only knew Spanish when I was really little, and then when I started growing up around 8, 9, I knew English, but I didn't know Spanish. I remember not knowing Spanish, that I had to really focus in Spanish classes, and my dad was like, you have to take Spanish classes to know Spanish, and then they used to tell me, oh, you should only speak that, and I'm like, I don't remember that at all.
That's funny. And so were you born in Costa Rica?
No, I wasn't, but I was born in New Jersey, and then my mom right away was, because we have her great aunts over there, which are my grandmas. And right away, she was taking us to visit them. And so I was 1.5. I have home videos when I was really little. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. So you're a Jersey girl.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're a Jersey girl. And at some point, you made your first grown-up trip to Costa Rica. When was that?
I want to say I was, I think around 18. Or 18 or 19. I had visited after many years of not going, and I visited and met, well, I didn't meet, I got to know more of a family friend who became my boyfriend and then became my husband over there on that trip. We knew his family for years, and so it was somebody who I didn't really speak to, and then we started to get in touch with, get to know each other more.
And so then on a trip down there, so you guys got more acquainted with each other, and then you fell in love?
Yes, exactly.
Nice. And so he was living in Costa Rica because he's a Tico, yes?
Correct, yes.
And so then you went back home, and how did we continue this relationship?
Well, we were long distance. We did keep in touch, and for almost about a year, we were together, and it happened to be on my birthday. It was in March. He got into a really bad motorcycle accident, and it was really serious. He was in critical condition, and it just made me really want to be with him and not be long distance. So the next time when I went there, we ended up getting married and filing for an I-30, which is for a petition for an alien relative. And that process took about a year, and he was able to come to the States after we did that. And it was really helpful. You don't really need a lawyer. I mean, it's okay it's good to have one, but if you can't afford one, there's a forum actually called visajourney.com. they really help me with any questions that you may have or what the process may be. They you don't really even need to ask questions. It's a forum, so you could just search other people's questions, and it really helps you. And they just guided me through it. There was actual guides saying like, if you're from Costa Rica, do this. If you're from here, do this. So it was really helpful in that. And that was a good process.
So then for that year, whenever you were filing and getting approval for his I-30, was he still in Costa Rica?
Yes, yeah, he was still in Costa Rica, so it was a visa, like a green card to come over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so then how long did his rehabilitation take from his motorcycle wreck?
Um, I'd say about about like 3, 4 months that he was like really in bad condition. But then after that, we mostly was messed up like in his knee. I think it was his left knee more than anything. It was even after like when I was able to see him after him walking, like he would kind of stumble when he walked because it was didn't have any. I think they said like there's a liquid in your kneecap and
Mhm.
that got all filled out. And so walking, he kinda just stumbled sometimes, and it was like that I remember like that for a good year or 2 after, and then now he does everything, he, like, weight lifts and does legs all the time and things like that, so I was very happy he recovered. He actually was supposed to have surgery, and then it ended up the one doctor came in at the end and was like, "Why are we doing surgery? Like, it's not broken, it's just this liquid came out, he just needs to therapy and things like that." So, we're thankful
So
for the doctor too that looked at that and noticed he didn't actually need surgery.
is he riding motorcycles again?
No, not anymore. I don't he got rid of it and I don't know. I mean, I kinda wanna learn too, but I don't know. After that, it's kinda crazy the traffic over there in Costa Rica, so
It is. That's the thing is that it's not that you are a bad motorcycle rider, but like you have to watch out for absolutely, even in the States, you have to watch out for everybody else around you who's not aware, who's not, cyclist aware. And, are they going to run out in front of you? Are they going to, not see you coming? In the States, they say loud pipes save lives, right? So all the motorcycles have this big bum, 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 right? And
Oh, I didn't know
that's
that.
so that you can hear them coming.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. That's actually interesting.
Yeah, and so a lot of times when you see these bikes like in Costa Rica, because they're all just fancified dirt bikes, really, that
Yeah,
are on
yeah.
the streets and they're not loud like that. So it's not like a little warning that's coming to let you know that there's a bike somewhere around you. So
Yeah,
unfortunately,
that's actually what, had happened to him. He wasn't the one driving, he was actually with a friend, and he was in the back, and, a car went in front of them, so it ended up that they, like, flipped over the I think it was like a little truck, not a truck, but like a what do you call it? Like a 4 by 4 or something like that,
mhm.
and, he flipped over and it was a really bad accident because his friend actually died.
Oh,
Um
that's horrible.
Yeah, it was his bike, though, it was my husband's bike, but he had lent it because his friend was like, "Oh, I wanna drive." So, you know, who knows what have happened if my husband was actually driving.
Right, right. Well, it was fateful for you.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so now we've got him in the U.S. It took a year, and you got him in the U.S. and moved him and made him a Jersey boy.
Yeah.
And how did he adapt to that?
He adapted pretty well. He gained a little weight here, of course,
Because we
but
are we are chubby Americans.
No, but he adapted well. He was able to get a job pretty quickly, and then the cold actually he came in like at the end, almost on Halloween. It was like before Halloween, and it was already chilly in Jersey. I think we had our first snow that year, right around that time, November something. So he like right away had to get adapt to the cold. So
That's hard. That's the brutal part of it right there.
yeah, really, yeah. But everything else he adapted to and everything, and I feel like he's more American now than Tico almost.
That's funny. Okay, so he's been in the US for how many years now?
So he came over 2013, so 11 years?
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah.
He probably is more American now. Okay, so then at some point you guys decide we want to move back. We want to move to Costa Rica. Or we want to buy land there. And then you started this process, right? So I would imagine this entire time you all have been scrimping and saving so that you could have money to purchase whenever you move back, because his family's there and you have family there still too, right?
Yeah, correct.
And so, so you guys spent all of this time saving money so that you could buy a property. When did you decide to go start looking again, or did you already know what you wanted?
Well, we had money kind of already saved because we're like really hard workers, so we worked and kind of just try to save as much money as we can in general. And we didn't really have a set thing to buy land or anything just yet. We just had money in general. But then one day was because we started actually getting on like this health journey that we were really more interested in healthy foods and living in a more clean way. So we started going to the gym more and just eating a lot more healthy, no, not much as much processed or anything. And
That's hard in New Jersey. That's hard in
yeah,
most of the US.
yeah, most of the US, at least like some states, you are able to buy right by farms or something or have like your own kind of farm, but we're in the suburbs, so it's really hard, right next to New York. So
Mm.
there's not too many farms next to us. Um, so we started realizing that we didn't want to eat this because we did start getting like not a lot of weight, but to me it felt like a lot of weight. And we started noticing what you're eating exactly. And I remember when I was younger, my mom would always used to make jokes like, "Oh, when you go to Costa Rica, you lose like 10 pounds." And it's true. Like every time we went, my grandmas would um have give us all this food, and and we would be there like maybe a month.
Mhm.
And then we come back to the States and we notice we're like, a pant size down or something. So I Costa Rica, since it was already home for him and it was home for me, it became home for me. And I always loved going into the backyard and seeing, picking off fruit from trees and like basically knowing where food came from. So it was a lot easier for us to we kind of just I don't know actually how we decided Costa Rica, but just one day we're just like, yeah, we're gonna move back there. And and then so one year when we were kind of always just talking about it, well, we should, make this business like a smoothies by the beach or something like that, like something with like a fruits that you can like a kind of a business.
Mhm.
And then I told my husband one day when we were gonna go on, a trip over there, I was like, "We're always talking about buying land. Why don't we actually, like, really, like, look for it this year?" So that trip, we was just that, and we went to Perez Zeledon. Um, Basically, the whole trip was I had set up appointments to look at different fincas and different places to maybe live, and I picked there because it was in the mountains, there was a city area, and the beach was also not too far.
Well,
But, we ended up not liking that at all, but because we were mostly looking for flat land where you can, grow a bunch of fruit trees and vegetation, and it was also pretty far, like, the commute anyway, just Perez is kind of really far to get to.
mhm.
So it was funny because the last night that we were gonna be in Costa Rica, come back to the States, a family friend was like, "Oh, I remember somebody has a finca that they're selling. We can go tomorrow morning, before your flight," because we had to be in San Jose at, I think, 11. Or our flight left at 11, so we had to be leaving around at least, like, 9 o'clock, the latest. So we're like, "Okay, we'll go really early." And we ended up going and falling in love with this finca. It was perfect, exactly what we wanted. It was in the Spanish, they say "enterrado," like, it's really, it's not the grass isn't cut. It's, all the yeah, it looks like a jungle basically,
Mhm.
but with, fixing up, sprucing up, we knew this is exactly what we wanted. It had, like, little streams, and it was pretty big. It was, it's 8 hectareas, which I believe is, I'm not sure how many acres, but, it's 8 hectareas, and it was really exactly what we were looking for. We fell in love right away.
I'm
So it
gonna
was funny, it happened on the last day too. We're, like, running to be like, "Okay, how do we gonna buy this property now?" So
I'm Googling it. That's almost 20 acres,
okay.
19.76.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so
I
yeah,
couldn't remember which way it went. I knew it was like it was like a little more than double, but I didn't know if it like went down or went up. So
yeah.
it's,
I know meter square, it's every 10,000 is
yeah.
in hectare. Yeah, that's all I know.
So like we almost have 20 acres. That's a lot. Is most of it flat or part of it's
No,
jungle? I know
it
you have streams running through it, so you have water rights. So that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, and it is, it doesn't have right now electricity, or like running water, portable water, but it does have the stream, and it can be used for electrical.
Hmm.
But yeah, everything's flat and it is jungly. Like there's forest areas, but they are flat and they do have a little bit ups and downs, things like that, but then it goes flat again, so it's not bad at all.
Yeah, so nice rolling. So, when's the last time that you've been there? Like, have you guys gone and started working on it already?
Yes, actually our last time we went in the end of May. So in May we went, and my husband and I, it's kind of hard to find in that area like reliable workers. So my husband, sometimes when we go, he just kind of works as much as he can, and since his mom lives around there, she takes care of the maintenance for the most part.
Hmm.
But recently we haven't had a worker like too much there. It's really hard to find somebody in that area. So then he decided, "Oh, I'm just gonna stay a couple months to work on it, get everything settled, and then we'll come back."
Is he
So that
down
was
there right now?
Yeah, he's over there right now. So that was our plan from the beginning, and, like, maybe, like, 2 months, I'm like, "Oh, you'll be back, before summer ends." So that was our plan, and then he's still there, and there's actually a lot to do, and I work remotely and was able to find a job that now that I can work anywhere in, like, whatever country I would want. So I'm gonna start that job in September, and I plan to move there myself in the beginning of October.
Nice. So the job that you currently have would not have allowed that.
No, no, I asked a few times. I was like, "Oh," and it was mostly for security purposes because I have to do with, like, data and things like that.
Mhm.
So they just said no, and that, like, because we have clients, so they're like, "Oh, part of the client's contract is that they wouldn't let you part of our contract with them, we can't. It has to be in the United States." So
I understand. And so then October, like you're going to just pack all of your stuff and you're done. You're going.
the majority of the stuff, I know I'm gonna be probably back and forth because, like, all of our stuff we haven't sent over. We did send a container over, a
Oh,
40-foot container with,
wow, that's a big one.
yeah. We weren't sure because we're like, "Should it be a 20?" But we did a 40 because we were also sending a 4 by 4, a
Mhm.
Toyota Tundra.
Nice.
So, we needed it for the farm. We're like, "It has to be a 4 by 4, So, we fixed it all up. He mostly worked the majority on it because he did mechanic as well.
Nice.
So, we were lucky to that he was able to fix it up, and we did it the way we wanted to. Like, yeah, I know people say it's easier to buy over there, but at the same time, you don't know what kind of car you're getting. You don't know, anything about the mileage, and then when you buy it and then some things have to get fixed. At least we know, like, everything about the car, and it's almost the same amount if you're shipping one over or you buying one. I can't in my right mind buy, like, a 20,000 2003 Toyota Corolla or something like that. Like, I can't do that.
Right. Right. And I feel like the same way. Like and not that I don't trust them, I, I've already had enough ups and downs with vehicles in Costa Rica and mechanics
Mhm.
that I'm like, okay, I'm just going to bring one that of ours that I bought since brand new, but it's pretty low miles,
Yeah.
and I'll just bring it, and I would just feel more comfortable with that because like I literally bought my vehicle that I bought in Costa Rica from a gringo, from a Canadian, and it was a piece of crap. It was literally like I was constantly doing something. It was constantly in the repair shop. And then I found, and this was stupid of me, it's only because I just didn't know anybody. And so I found this gringo mechanic who used to be in the military in the US, who had
Mhm.
moved to Costa Rica and opened up a mechanic shop. He screwed me over so badly on transmission work. I finally had to have some Tico mechanics work on it, which they fixed it for me. But that was like after I'd already given this blue-eyed idiot, a bunch of money to fix it. And then he like literally just kept going, yeah, it's not done yet. It's not done yet. It's not done yet. It's not done yet. And then he gives it back to me and it like literally runs for like maybe, I don't know, a week to 10 days. And then the transmission is out again. I'm like, whatever. So, I mean, and it's not that I don't trust Ticos. It's just that I don't trust any mechanics at all. And I work in this industry. I work in the automotive field, and it's like,
Yeah.
crap. It's, you know, it's the things that you don't know that people have the ability to take advantage of you on. And so, like, if you don't know about mechanical stuff, they have the ability to, you know, BS you and tell you a bunch of other stuff that isn't true. And so,
Yeah. I
unfortunately, ugh.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Like that's the main reason that we wanted to like my husband works on it. My dad's also
Mhm.
has a shop, so that's where he had learned a lot of the mechanics from. So my dad took a look at it, and then a lot of times too, like I guess it's hard with mechanics because you're in the street, you know. So like sometimes you fix something, something else breaks or whatever, or like not really that they don't see it because they should be up, they should see it, what's happening, but a lot of the times it might be like that they didn't want to tell you kind of thing. But if they're selling it to you, they should tell you like everything that's wrong
Right.
with it. Or if you ask, like you should be like, oh yeah, well it needs this, so this is why it's priced like this or something. Like they
Yeah.
should at least be aware of that. It's funny because mechanics, like people don't like mechanics because they're like either it's like two sides of the fence. They're like either they don't tell me enough things and then it breaks and then breaks down or whatever. And then other people say, oh, they tell me too much. I go for like an oil change and they tell me my brakes, my tires. I'm like, because if something's gonna happen, like they're like, oh, it was just in the shop. So you have like two types of people. Like either they want to know everything or they don't want to know anything. Why are they bothering me about this repair? So,
I agree.
but I can relate to. We actually had, and I call it my wall, but in Costa Rica they call it a tapia, like a wall for your land. We actually constructed it with some ticos over there, and it was a company, and it for the most part everything went well except the bottom of the wall was kind of, I guess I don't know if you want to say in the air, like there was holes on the bottom, and they would, and then they kind of we kind of like complained about it, saying why are there holes, like we have like dogs at the finca, like they're gonna escape, like any animal can go through, like the whole point is to be secure and
Right.
like that. And they're like, oh well, because other people like, so it's for it to be straight on the top, so some people complain about uh the top, and then that's why there are holes on the bottom. I'm like, okay, but you didn't ask us. Like you can ask, what do you prefer, like it looking like looking better, or that you actually need concrete on the bottom? Like, you guys should ahead of time tell the person. So like I've noticed like a lot of things there that in a way is kind of backwards, and I'm like, but that's not, and I hate to be like that person saying, well, that's not how we do it, but like,
Right.
but there's still professionalism at the same time. Like that's not American the way, that's like normal professionalism for everybody. You can't just say, oh, this is how most people want it, so this is how you're going to want it. No, say like, these are your two options, what do you want?
Right.
So, and then you can't blame, and then we were telling them, we're like, well, we're not wall experts, we're not construction people, how are we going to know this? You have to tell us, and then from there you make your own decision.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay. So now you are getting ready to go. You've got your new remote job that's starting. So I guess the one thing I haven't asked you is what part of Costa Rica is your property in?
Oh, it's by Wapiles. I don't know if you're familiar. It's by the Caribbean side.
Okay.
About an hour and a half to 2 hours to Limon. It's right after you come from the Surki, about like half an hour, 45 minutes from there. And it's in San Luis of Jimenez, it's called.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's pretty hot all the time. It rains pretty frequently now. Recently, it's
Are you
something.
are you at an elevation? Is your property at a certain elevation?
I don't think so. It's mostly flat. Like after you come from the Surki, like you go all the way down the mountain, and then it's just flat. It's not really an elevation. I think all that area there is not really at any elevation. It's everything's flat, yeah. But there is still a lot of rain all the time. It's like raining. Well, right now I think it's the rainy seasons, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
So
when you come in, you fly into San Jose, and then do you get on a small plane and fly over, or do you drive over?
oh, we just drive. It's about I think about 2 hours from the airport.
That's not bad.
So yeah, it's mostly because of San Jose. Once you get out of San Jose, it's like 45 minutes to get there. Well, my husband, he drives fast, but about like an hour 45 minutes. So
That is, that's not a bad drive at all. I know one time we had talked about, because I've not even been over to the Caribbean side at all yet, and I would love to go. Whenever the first time we ever came down, because I'd always said that whenever we moved, I was going to move somewhere in the Caribbean.
Mhm.
And so the first time we were coming down to Costa Rica, and I grew up in California, so I grew up on the Pacific, and I really had no desire to go back to the Pacific. And so I was looking for a place. I'd never been to Costa Rica before. I didn't even know anybody who'd been before. And I was like, I need to find a place. And I couldn't find any like Airbnbs or VRBOs over in Limon. And there was like hardly any hotels over there. Wasn't like a lot over
Yeah.
there. And I'm like, crap, like I think I'm going to have to go on the Pacific side. I was like so mad. I'm like, I guess I'll just book this. We're just going to be on the Pacific, I guess. And so and I didn't even know like Guanacaste versus the Southern Zone. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
we went out to Guanacaste. We were at Garza is where the house was. And then we spent like the next week to 10 days, however long we were there, just all up and down the Nasara coastline up there. And we loved it. We loved it there. The roads are absolute trash.
Yeah.
Absolute garbage of roads. Like literally the worst roads I've ever been on my life. And so we didn't even discover the Southern Zone until probably our third or fourth trip down to Costa Rica. And then I was like, there was such a nice highway. Like I wasn't driving in potholes every 2 feet. And a beautiful coastline. And although over on Nasara, like the beaches are all different. Like this beach may be a tan sand beach. And then the next beach is like a white sand beach. And then the next beach is a black sand beach.
Oh,
And it's so interesting, like
yeah.
so different. And like there was even one beach that the only things that washed up on the beach were these like red rocks. Like there were no other kind of, and then one beach, all that washed up were these long conical shells. You know what I'm saying? It's like they all had their own little ecosystem. Each beach did, and it would be like rock, beach, rock, beach, rock. And jungle, jungle,
Yeah.
the jungle between. And so we were super excited when we discovered the Southern Zone. However, I would still love to go explore Limon and come over to that side over there too, because I'm sure there are some beautiful parts. It's just so underdeveloped still.
Yeah. I noticed that too because I went to Limon, I think last year. I forgot what for, but we had gone last year, and it's different. Like Costa Rica, there's not that many people like on the well, actually, to be honest, I haven't really gone on the Pacific beach either because it's mostly for family and stuff. I usually never visited beaches that much and stuff like that. But when I gone to other countries like Mexico and stuff, it'd be like, you have the Rio there, and I know they have Rio Guanacaste and things like that.
Mhm.
But over there in the Caribbean side, it's kind of just like a beach and people on it. Like there's no kind of services anywhere, bathrooms that I know of. I didn't really see anything like that. So it looks a lot more not commercialized, I guess you don't want to say. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are.
Which
And I
is weird, 'cause that's where all the cruise ships come in.
yeah, I think yeah, I guess is it where I don't
It's
even know.
really because there really is no place um, on the Pacific side other than like down in Golfito. They've got a deep enough harbor in Golfito that some cruise ships come in, not the big ones, but like maybe the ones that carry like up to 600 passengers, those size
Mhm.
of cruise ships. But the big ones stop at Limon. My business partner, her mom was on a cruise that stopped at Limon.
Oh,
I
okay.
was like, that's interesting. But that's probably the reason you were over there that's probably where they brought your container to. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Our container, we had sent it over and it took about a month, I'd say. The process was pretty it was okay. The process like taking it there. But before it went, it was really hard to start packing everything. You have to really make a list of everything that's in the container, which is like the biggest headache for me because you have to be taking stuff out, putting stuff in, writing things down. And that was, like, the biggest headache, I think, for me, but, we had we sent it, a company here in New Jersey. They sent it over, and it didn't cost too much. I think it was, like, I think it was, like, 2,500 compared to, like, other places for a 40-foot container were, like, 5, 6,000. So it wasn't too bad, and they sent it over, and then we had a Tico company, take care of the rest of the kind of, I guess, mandados you would say on the Costa Rican side. And his name is Pablo Zuniga from
Okay.
JP J, EJP Logistics, and I believe he's located in San Jose. And he was really helpful. He speaks both English and Spanish, and he was really helpful. And anything I would ask him, if I we mostly talked on WhatsApp, he would respond to me within like the hour, usually,
Right.
typically. And he was very responsive, and he explained to me a lot of things and re-explained them to me because I didn't understand. I was like, "Tell me again," because I was so confused. I'm like, "It goes to the port, and then it goes to a warehouse, and then what happens after that, and why, or why can't it just do that?" Like, I had a lot of questions. I'm really, like, really hands-on with, all those things, like everything, like with like why is this happening, and what can be done instead, or like a lot of things. So he was really patient with me and really helpful, and I'm really grateful that he helped us on our journey for there.
So you got to bring in a vehicle in a 40-foot container full, and it cost you right around like $10,000.
Yes, everything 10,000, even sending from here to the 2500 charge, everything together was about 10,000, 11,000, I'd say, yeah.
And then how long did that take from the time that they picked up your container in New Jersey to it getting delivered back to you, back to your possession in Costa Rica?
I wanna say a month and a half,
Okay.
about a month, because it took about 3 weeks. I wanna say about 3 weeks to actually get there, and then, like, about another 3 weeks to finish the process.
To get through like
Um
customs,
What was that?
to get through customs, like to get your stuff.
Oh, yeah, yeah, because the thing is, he was telling me Pablo was telling me that it depends, like, when it gets there, then you have to, like, ask for an appointment, and then I think you need another appointment, especially because we had a car, so with the car, it's a little more complicated because Decker has to come and check it, and then they do other kinds of checks. So he's like, "If it was just the container, you could have had it really quick, but since it was the car, it was a little longer." And he's like, "You could do it." Because I was saying, because we needed some of the stuff there in the container, so, or just the car itself. We're like, "Can we do one and leave the other one? Like, what can we do?" And he's like, "You can do it separately, but it would cost more, and doing it together, it'll be easier just to put it on one, I guess, import sheet or whatever they do." So he was really helpful in explaining all the different ways. He's like, "We could do it your way, or we could do it, the way this way, and then it would cost this much or something." But, yeah, he was really helpful, and my husband picked up the car in Limon. Since Limon isn't too far, it's like an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
He picked it up himself, and then they sent the container later because they could have sent the car in the container, but the thing is then to bring down the car, it would have been a little harder. They could have found stuff to, like a ramp and stuff, or you'd have to get a tow truck and things like that. So I'm like, "Oh, he could just go pick it up," because at the time he had a rental car. So we were like, "Okay, you could return the rental car." And then we actually had a friend going to Limon that day, so he just got a ride with him and picked up the car. And then later, Pablo was like, "Oh, like, later today, we're gonna send the container," or I don't know if it was the next day or that same day they, like, sent it over. So they're really good, and Pablo, like I mentioned, he was very helpful and answered all my questions.
Nice. So now did they deliver it to your finca, to your property?
It was actually at my mother-in-law's house. We kind of dumped everything on her. But because, the finca, it honestly doesn't really have, a house or anything, so we don't
Right.
really have anywhere to put it. We do actually have another container on there, a 40-foot that we bought for as, like, a storage kind of shed
Right.
that we put machines in. But I was like, it was a lot of boxes we had, and so I'm like, "It's not gonna fit." I'm like, we're gonna leave it here for now and then slowly bring the stuff over." We brought a lot of machines over that my husband had taken apart, so he has to put them back together and things like that. So it was better just, doing it slowly instead of putting everything in a container that's not even gonna fit. So,
Right.
yeah.
And so, in that process right there, did you have to purchase the container as well, or do you have to return that to someone? What is that process?
The one that is on the property?
The one that your stuff was shipped in.
Oh, yeah, that one we just rented that one. So the process with that is that the container comes in, and you get get someone to move it to a storage facility, and then they take out everything and then put back the container, like the stuff in the container, and then bring it to you, and then from there they bring back the container. So,
So how long do you have to empty it out?
um, I don't know, to be honest. I think it depends. I think it
Or
I
do you
think they charge you per day. I know storage, they charge you per day. I
okay, I
don't
didn't know if like they would like keep renting the container until you get it back to them.
I think so. I don't that's what I'm saying. I never I always have to ask Pablo this like, a different question because like, I understand a certain way, and then I'm like, "Wait, is that right?" I know the storage container, facility, you have to it's per day, but I don't know if that included with the container or not. But yeah, you do have to pay for, transport to and from the port, and then but once there, then it's a different charge to actually get it to your house if you want, it to your house.
Right.
You could always work with the person you're doing it with, like, um, you can, I guess, pick up the stuff if you don't have too much stuff, you can pick it up yourself so they don't have to do the delivery. He was very honest too, Pablo. He was, like, telling me, like, some people wanna go to a really far facility just to charge for it and different things like that, so, I was really grateful that he kind of explained the process more in detail to really understand it.
I love it. I love it. So, what things are you are you looking forward to whenever you get down there? Like, are you guys going to start building a house sometime soon? Are you going to rent a place to? Are you going to stay with his family for a while? What are you going to do for a living once you get down there?
So right now, my husband, we're actually always pretty lucky because we know people down there so much because of family ties and things like that. He was living with his mom, but for a little while, but right now he's living with an old, I guess an old boss you can say, because he used to live in that place to take care of the house and work on the person's land. So he was like kind of like a caretaker.
Mhm.
So now his boss doesn't have that anybody to take care of the house anymore. He has a worker, but he doesn't have a like somebody work like their
He's
um
not a caretaker.
yeah, yeah, for taking care of the house. Especially because he leaves to go to San Jose on the weekends, so the house is by itself all weekend.
Mm,
So he offered, my husband to stay, and, he doesn't even have to pay him any rent or anything. It's like he's, like, really nice, and he said, just, he just helps out, like, cleaning and cooking and things like that. Because my husband, he's, like, almost like a chef. He's better cook than me. So he likes doing all that stuff. So yeah, so his boss has another, I guess you could say, a guest house, like, in the back.
right.
So, it just needs to get fixed up, but by the time I get there, it might be a little more fixed up, about a month or so until I get there. So they said they were already planning on fixing it up, and then we could possibly go back there, or just stay where my husband's staying now. So there's different options, and we wanna get, Starlink because I know that the internet isn't so good, but I heard Starlink is pretty promising. So my husband's asking about that over there in Costa Rica to see, how we can get it. And, yeah, so we would just be with him, and then in the meantime, we'll be working on the finca because there's a lot of, um, reparations we have to still do. Like, we have a little bridge over there that gets flooded because the river, when it gets rained, it's like a huge, like, flood everywhere. So we still have to fix, like, the bridge. We have to fix a lot of the making the land a more flat than it is. Even though it does look flat, there's parts that are not. So it makes it harder when you're maintaining it and cutting the grass if it's not on a flat plane.
Right.
It's really hard. It makes it harder. So we're doing different, reparations, and then soon after that, after most of it's fixed, then we're gonna start, building the house. My dream was always to have, like, a container house, so we might make it with containers, hopefully, in a few years, and maybe, like, 1 or 2 years. We still have to save up for that. So
Nice. So, your family that's in New Jersey, like they're just like, "Yay, go!"
my dad he's, like, pushing me out. He's like, "Yeah, you should go." My mom, she knows it's been something that I wanted for a while now, and I'm always like, I don't want to say lecturing, but I'm always telling her like, that's not good for you to eat and this and that. I'm trying to help her with processed foods and different things like that. And I've learned so much self-learning, and I even am certified nutritionist also. And I've been trying my hardest to be as healthy as I can and try to help my family as well. So she knows that. She even says like, because she has asthma, and when she goes to Costa Rica, she doesn't get asthma over there, and it's a lot more, I guess, pure the air and different things like that. So I know that she would thrive over there. She just hates snakes, and I do too. But I told her you have to just keep everything clean, and then that's what my husband's trying to do, maintain everything, and everything will be clean and not worry about, scary wildlife like big spiders and things like that. I mean, you're almost in the jungle, you're gonna expect it, but at the same time, it won't be as like every day, like she thinks it's gonna be like an everyday occurrence or something.
It's one of those things. It's like it just becomes a normal way of life. Like it
Yeah.
becomes, when you're not used to being around it, then it's frightening. But once you've been around it, I have a picture of like I'm holding my hand up against this car, and the spider is as big as my hand.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, this thing, and I wasn't scared of it. Like it was just on the side of the car. I'm like, I had to put my hand up there so everybody could see how big that spider was next to me.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
I'm like, then I just went to bed. I'm like, you're in charge out here. Like, eat all the bugs you need to. I'm going to bed, man. I wasn't like weirded out by it, but it was like that's a big spider. And my daughter probably would have lost her crap about that because she hates spiders. But like, I know that their job is not to kill me. Their job is to eat bugs. So go have at it.
it's so funny, yeah, because they get used to so many things like over there. Like there's so many mosquitoes over there, and like their doors are open and the light bulbs on, and they're
Yeah.
like, and then I'm like the mosquitoes don't come in, and later at night they're biting me. I'm like, so they are biting, and then it's so funny because my mother-in-law, I used to close it all the time. Like I kept closing the door, and they're like, "Why do you close the door?" I'm like, "Because the mosquitoes are coming in." Like I leave it a little open because I guess it's hot also because they like to have the fresh air come in, but I don't really think it makes too much of a difference. But I always close it, and then finally after like the next time I go, I noticed she started closing it, and my husband's like, "Oh yeah, she's closing it so the mosquitoes aren't coming in." I'm like, she used to always fight with me about that, saying like it like, and then I'm like, "So I'm not crazy." I'm like, "There are mosquitoes coming in. I'm not the only one."
That's the thing too. Like at nighttime, we would just like we try to keep it open so that cool air would come in. But like we would have big screen doors that would shut, but then the windows didn't have any screens on them, so the bugs are coming in anyways. But it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe you just like go somewhere where the light isn't, so they don't come after you. But like, and up in the not necessarily probably where you guys are at because you're kind of in the flatland, but like up on in the elevations, because there's not a lot of standing water. The mosquitoes weren't bad up in the elevations.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
that's true. It could be, yeah, because over there it's really humid also.
mhm.
So it's raining all the time. So yeah, I think that's probably where the mosquitoes are coming from. And they're really annoying. They attack you hard, like all night. They're relentless.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
yeah, I think we're just gonna start because we started looking into natural things. You can put like I think they don't like cinnamon, I wanna say, vanilla, they don't like there's some things you could just put on, and using my husband as a guinea pig. I'm like, "Oh, I heard that this, why don't you put this on?" So he likes just doing it now because he, like, complains too, and I'm like, "Just put this on," and then he's, like, trying it and stuff, so the other day he tried it, and he said that they didn't get him, but then they bit him in his ear. I guess he didn't do that part, and I was like, "See, but it does work. You just have to get everywhere."
What's funny is like when I would go down and dog sit for my friend Susan, um, like I hate bug spray, like I hate all of that crap. And she
Exactly.
would go and she would take coconut oil and put them in ice trays and then just put them in the refrigerator so they would solidify. And then every morning before I would go walk the dogs, I would pop one of those cubes out of the ice tray, the coconut oil, and I would just rub it all over like anything that was exposed, and the mosquitoes wouldn't bite.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And
there's a lot of remedies. I know that, like, for example, like vinegar, coconut oil, there's a lot that are, like,
and then
basically used for everything kind of
she
thing.
would make some of them, she would melt down some or put some citronella drops in some of them in
Oh, yeah.
the ice trays too, that with the coconut oil. And so some of them would have the citronella in them as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So,
Funny.
but like, you just get ready to go outside and I just grab one of those ice cubes that are just coconut oil, and I would just like rub everything all up. I would get everything covered. And if I forgot to do that, I would tell you, I would like be halfway down the road and they were eating me up, and I would just turn back around and go, I forgot the coconut oil, and go back and get it. I mean, it worked. And I
Yeah.
don't know if it was just like so thick that they were just like, we can't get through this right now or what, but it's like they wouldn't attack me. But if I didn't have it on, man, it ate me up.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I should try that. I should tell him to try that.
Yeah, coconut oil, and then if you can find the citronella oil to put in there too, she would literally just put it in the ice trays and put it in the refrigerator so it's solidified, and then she would dump them all out in a Ziploc baggie, and so they would stay in the refrigerator, and you just pull one out and wipe down with it, throw it out. Like it was the only thing that helped for me
Yeah.
because I hate those bug spray and I hate the bug spray wipes, because you really have to have something with DEET in it, and that's just toxic.
Yeah, I had bought something that specifically wasn't for D, and it had the citronella. I remember that. And it worked. There was a little thing that I go to sleep at night with. But, like, my husband's saying it's hard because if you put on one part, you have to put on everything because they're like, "Okay, we won't get you here, but we'll get you somewhere else."
Yeah, for sure. They're like, oh, we can get it.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
so what is one thing that that you didn't think it was going to be as difficult as it ended up being? I know you just bought property, so maybe that part of it was more complicated than you thought it would be.
Um, I would say I'm not sure.
It's probably pretty
What was not as hard, you're saying?
Yeah, it's probably easy because he's a Tico, so there's a lot of things that he's already used to, and he's blazed that trail for you guys. But like, did you have
Yeah.
any hiccups with purchasing your property, or did you have like anything that took longer than you thought it would?
Um, I guess I mean, what I think would be the hardest for me that I'm already dreading kinda thinking about it is, like, the convenience of things, like, over here, you just buy something on Amazon, it's here sometimes, like, in 2 hours.
For sure.
This actually happened yesterday, I bought something and it was already there that afternoon, and I had bought it around, like, 12 and it was there at 4.
Wow.
So, the convenience of things, definitely. I know in, San Jose or even, like, in the more expat areas, people are like, "Oh, there's air conditioner gyms here, there's this, there's that," but where I am, it's pretty rural, so I am gonna miss a lot of that. It's so funny because my cousin, she lives in, Heredia. Well, actually, she lives in Alajuela now,
Okay.
but either way, she was really Americanized. It's funny because when I used to go over there visiting, she'd be, like, talking about these TV shows and things that are over here and music over here, and I'm like, "This was, like, out last week. How do you how do you know this?" And then they're, like, literally watching the same channels and everything. They're, like, more Americanized than some people that don't watch TV. Like, I don't really watch TV anymore, so she probably knows more than me, and they listen to, like, American radios and all that stuff, so it's cool. It's actually really, really interesting because you have that coin, and then once you pass a certain key, then it's really rural and it really changes. It's like farmlands and stuff. It's like a really big, even like I said, like just in Costa Rica, it's a big turnaround just right where you're living and in general, like the microclimates too, like over there's hot, in San Jose it's cooler and things like that. So it's like I think everybody can find something if in different parts of the country, you can find what you're looking for. But I'd say, yeah, convenience more than anything, I think would be the hardest thing for me to leave, just like being able to buy whatever I want, like easily. But that's kind of what I was striving not to do anyway. And food wise, I kind of wanted to have everything organic and
Mhm.
made everything off the land. So I guess I'm going to really experience that, I guess.
Well, so how far? So you guys are probably, so you're honestly like you're an hour and a half or whatever from San Jose, though that's not bad.
It's not too bad. Yeah, I'd say about an hour, like central San Jose, about like an hour and a half, I'd say.
Okay,
But yeah.
that's pretty good to be able to go get whatever you need.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know where to get it though. I mean San Jose, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stores, but like Americanized things I think would be in Guanacaste, no, wouldn't it? I don't even know.
Oh no, no, no. San Jose like has Sam's and Costco.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah,
there's
that's true in those areas, yeah.
there's a mall that has a Ferris wheel on the top of it.
Yeah. But yeah, I would mostly yeah, I guess it would just be things because for food, I know that, basically you go to the supermarket, 99% of things aren't good for you. So, That's the first thing I do. I go into a store, I turn the back, I read the label, get sad, and put it down, go to the next product. And it's so funny because I did that at I forgot what store it was. It was for like concentrados, like for dog food. I was looking for dog food and I kept reading and all I keep reading was corn, 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 rice and things like that. And then people at the store were staring at me like, what is she doing? Like I just picked up like the packages, putting it down, like going everywhere. And I told my husband, I'm like, there's like nothing good here. And there was like one package, but it was in like I think a 5-pound package or something like that. And we needed like, yeah, we needed like a 40-pound or something. And so it's like a lot of things that I don't know, I guess, like, over there, it's not like, people don't care as much. I guess also because of
So
the
too, about the animals for sure. So like where we're like very conscientious and the commercials tell us the things that we should be aware of what we're feeding our animals. And like over there, they're like, there's just so many stray dogs anyways. It's like,
Yeah.
it's just dog food. It's dog food. Here you go. Figure it out.
Yeah, yeah. I remember one time my dog, his veterinarian had said, "Oh, you can't give him," and he's the one who taught us this from the beginning. They said with dog food, you have to have at least the first 2 ingredients, like chicken or meat or lamb or fish or something. It
Mhm.
can't say corn, it can't say rice, and it can't be a byproduct, like a bymeal. It has to be at least the first 2, and then, you're pretty it's pretty good. And he's like, "Because if you buy anything else, it's basically like them having potato chips. It's not nutritious at all." So it's sad because a lot of people don't have the money for that and stuff. But a lot of it is also, like, I guess, education on the products. Like, here in the United States, a lot of people still don't know that. I know, like, some of my family, my father, for example, I tell him all this stuff, he doesn't believe me. He just I don't know if he doesn't wanna believe me or he just doesn't believe me, but he's just like, "No," it's like, "It's fine." It's like I'm like, "No," I'm like, "There's studies and stuff and like, all this stuff." But, I mean, over there too, it's just hard. I remember talking to other farmers and telling them, "Oh, we're organic," because we do have some stuff already growing.
Right.
We're like, "Oh, we're organic," and then they're looking at us like we're crazy, and like, "Why?" And then we tell them, like, "It's bad," and then I don't know, like I said, I don't know if they don't believe you or they just want to not believe you because then it would be so their way of life would just be a lot harder. It is a lot harder to do everything by hand and not use pesticides because I know there's a lot of bugs also over there too, so it's really hard to. But if you end up using pesticides, it's just going to get worse, and the soil's going to get worse, and then the bugs are going to get resistant, and it's
Right.
a whole chain of events. But I think the government would be good if they helped the country in that way. It's actually interesting because they really care about natural things, but yet the air pollution and then the soil and everything and all the animals that die because of the pesticides, that doesn't help them. So I would think they would be interested in it, but
For sure. I think there's a lot of, permaculture and I think more towards the southern zone, there's some really great organic farms there that they even do
yeah,
like ecotourism where you come in and you work on this farm for this long and they won't plant things that are not supposed to be grown in that area, you know,
yeah,
just to grow it. Oh, we want this, so let's grow it here. And they're like, if it's not native to here, we're not growing it here because
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's good too. Yeah.
so it's super important. Well, I know you have a lot to get to. Is there anything else that you want to tell us about before we wrap up?
No, that everyone in Costa Rica, they're very nice and they're very helpful and
Yeah,
and then you just kind of have to accustom yourself to a new way of life, and but that's a great thing. Everybody works together and lives together, and it's really nice. Everybody.
I think it's just one of the friendliest countries I've ever been to.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's the thing I loved about the most. That it didn't matter, even if we had a language barrier, that the kindness just came through. Like it wasn't like animosity because you don't speak Spanish,
Yeah.
or they just really like would just keep talking, and I would keep talking. We would just keep talking until we like found a communication path where we could share. And I'm on like day 657 of Duolingo, so you'd think I'd even be better at it, but I'm not. If
And
they
it's
if they would speak slower, I could I always have to do the slow thing on there where because at first I'll go da 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 da, I'll go do the slow thing and it'll go da 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 da. Oh, thank God. Okay, now I can understand them.
yeah. Yeah, it's so funny because, like, for me, when like, in the like, when I used to not know Spanish that much, I would kind of explain with examples. So instead of me saying, if I don't remember how to say, like, I guess caminar, like walk, I'd be like, "Oh, when we're going, not on a car, not on by foot," and I would say things like that, and it's funny because the person who would really understand me would be my now sister-in-law. She would always understand everything I'm saying. It was like we were always in sync. Like everything I would say, she'd be like, "Oh, you mean this?" I'm like, "Yes, yes, that."
That's funny.
So that's how I always like was translating by giving them examples. I'm like, "Okay, so, something you go on and you type on, then the like computer, like that kind of thing." So it was so funny.
That's funny. Well, Kat, thank you for spending this time with me. And for all of you who are following along and you're like just interested in this expat journey and whether, that's something that's going to work for you, I'm actually going to pull up EJP Logistics and pop that down into the show notes. So be sure to check out Pablo Zuniga. And if you're looking to move, like that's probably one of the most affordable transports that I've even heard about. And also subscribe, like, follow, all of the things, whatever platform that you are checking this out on. Be sure to do those things right here. And Kat, I hope to see you soon in Costa Rica and Pura Vida.
Okay. Thank you, you too.